office, and and was going through all the stuff in the drawers, and there was one folder in there, and this folder said creeds. So I started going through this folder, and there was probably about 20 different creeds in this folder. This was in the office of the Chief Master of the Air Force. And that folder had sat in there through several Chief Master Sergeants of the Air Force who thought about doing something about coming up with one creed. But, no one really put the effort into it, and so that folder just sit in there for the next person. So I read all these different creeds, and knew some of them, and some of them I'd never heard before, and I put the folder back. I wasn't going to touch it because I had other things on my mind. We were fighting 2 wars. Airmen were being killed and wounded, and that was my focus. My focus was not coming up with another creed, with a creed for the Air Force, because we were fighting wars, and my focus was making sure our airmen were properly trained, equipped, ready to go into harm's way and hopefully come home. But silly thing happened one night. I was getting ready to go over to General Mosley's house for a big event, and I get a phone call from his chief of staff and said, Chief, General Mosley is really, really mad. And I said, what's up? And it said that one of the SESs Googled Airman's Creed, and what she came up with was, I am an airman, I am a steed, plant me, watch me grow, I'm a little teapot, something like that. It was absolutely ridiculous, and said, General Mosley wants to talk to you right now because he doesn't know who approved this, and he's really, really upset. Just tell him to relax, I'll be there soon. So I got there, and everyone's going through the line, kissing, hugs, and I said, Chief, he's in the back room, he wants to see you right now. So I go back in the room, and he has a sheet of paper, and he's going, Chief, how did this happen? Who approved this? I said, sir, no one's approved that. We don't have a creed for the Air Force. We don't. We have multiple creeds. We have several different airman creeds. We have NCO creeds. We have senior NCO creeds. We have chief creeds. We have first sergeant creeds. Hell, I think the janitor has a creed. He said, we're going to fix it. I said, yes, sir. He said, we are going to come up with one creed for the United States Air Force. Okay, sir. So we went to work on this. When I talk about we, I talk about airmen across the Air Force. The Air Force Academy, SOS, Senior NCO Academy. We had inputs from everywhere trying to come up with the right words for the Airman's Creed. And we had many, many different versions. Some of them were so long that you could never, memorize them, and some of them were really short, some good, some bad. So we came down to about 2 of them. And I was making a trip through U-Safety, visiting all the bases. And the one that I liked, I memorized it. And when I talked to the bases at the auditorium, theater, or in a hangar, in a big crowd, the last thing I do is I recite the creed, and got a great response from it. I got back to the Pentagon, and I told General Mosley, we need to go ahead and move forward and have this creed. He says, you really think so? I said, yes, sir. So he said, okay, I'll send you an email this afternoon. And so that afternoon, he sent me the message that he actually sent out to the whole Air Force, saying, this is our Airman's Creed, and this is our only creed from this day on. And I said, sir, the message looks great. Let's do this. He said, okay, meet me in my office tomorrow morning at 7:30. So the next morning, I met General Mosley in his office. It was me, General Mosley, and Bruce Rolfson, who was a reporter for the Air Force Times. And General Mosley said, Chief, we're going to do this? I said, yes, sir, let's do this. And so he turned to Bruce, and he said, Bruce, please print this in the Air Force Times next week. And we left. General Mosley hit the send on his button, on his email, out to the Air Force. And from that day on, that has been the only official creed for the United States Air Force. Now, and I've heard a lot of things from airmen talk out there, and I've even heard from some airmen that weren't even active duty yet when we came up with this new creed. So this is the only creed they've ever had. And they go, well, why time you go back to the old creed. What old creed? We never had a creed. We had 20-some different creeds. And then I hear some say, well, I'm not a warrior. The hell you're not. Every one of us are warriors. And every enlisted person raised their hand and said, I will fight and defend. Were you kidding? We're warriors. We had a lot of airmen out there who, worked driving DVs around and everything else, and that was a pretty cozy job. Next thing you know, they're in Iraq driving convoys and killing the enemy. Male and female, by the way. And wasn't Chief Etchberger, wasn't he calm? Yes, he was. So we're all warriors. And every time you get into and open up your computer, there's also a cyber war going on there. Every single day, you have the enemy trying to get into our computers and hacking and get our secrets. We are all warriors. And so, I was not on a journey to come up with a new creed, but we did. And I don't think that you need to get up in the morning and before you have breakfast, you go to the mirror and you recite the Airman's Creed. I'm not crazy about this, but it's our creed, and it's special. So I'm going to read some things here. And